Coming to you today, the Never Lose a Deal podcast. And so today I am coming to you, want to talk about the topic real estate investor versus real estate business owner. Does it matter? Now, before I go into today's episode, I always like to give a introduction to who I am. Never want to assume that individuals know who I am. Even though I have been on YouTube, I'm streaming this on YouTube, and my and I plan to also distribute it to the many podcasting sites as well. But if you're watching this, you're watching it on YouTube. So I am not new to the topic that I'm going to share with you today. As I mentioned, my name is Brown-Phillips. I have been talking about the topic today since 2017. Yes, I have been on YouTube talking about credit, talking about funding since 2013, and I've been talking about real estate and business funding since 2017. So I'm not new to the topic at hand. I'm not a one hit wonder, just came upon the scene a few months ago or during the pandemic. I'm very seasoned in this area of the information I'm going to share with you today. And so today's topic and this podcast as well is really geared towards not just the person who gives themselves a title of a real estate investor. The topic of what I'm talking about today, as well as the nature of this episode and for future episodes, is for that real estate investor who is running a real estate venture like a business. Now, what do I mean? They are real estate investors who have transitioned from being an investor, meaning just calling themselves a real estate investor, and they have gone over to being a business owner. What do you mean, Lorelia? Meaning now they are in the stage where they are creating some type of business infrastructure into their enterprise. And so when I talk about this topic today, I want to lean it against when it comes to getting actual funding, because right now we're in a time and space now where everybody on the internet can give individuals some falsified um, uh, I guess, plan on how they can get business credit, business funding, or what have you. And I always like to tell people that I don't get anyone any funding. I don't get anyone business credit. And so, one may say, well, Aurelia, are you a fraud? You say that's what you do. It help individuals get business funding. And I'm always quick to let people know that what I do, I'm a business funding advisor, and I specialize with assisting real estate professionals, real estate investors on how they can leverage the different alternative forms of funding to be able to either expand their business or buy more investment properties or what have you. And so that is much different than a person who is a business credit person who just happens to do real estate, or vice versa. They are a real estate investor and they just happen to do business credit or business funding, something totally different. As a business funding advisor, my role is to advise you on what is the best funding source for your business based on what it is that you want to do. I tell people all the time, if you just want a business credit card, you can get that yourself. I've did plenty of videos. Like I said, my videos go back since 2017, where I talked about the power of the 680 credit score. So if a business owner at least has the bare bones of a 680, now of course I'm giving you a broad sense of what I am talking about, because of course if you just have a 680 credit score and all you have is an open sky credit card or First Premier or any low tier credit card, and the balance and your trade line limit is only $500. No, you're not going to just get a line of credit to 100,000. That's not what I promote. That's not what I teach. I don't show people how to get trade lines. I don't teach people how to rob the bank or any of those strategies that could pretty much land you in jail. What I do is I literally advise people, and I just happen to advise people in the area of real estate. I can advise people in any area. I can advise people if I decided to work with plumbers, I can work with them. If I decided to advise electricians, I can work with them. If I wanted to advise just, franchisee owners, I can advise them. So there's a difference in what I do, and that is why today's topic is so important. Real estate investor versus real estate business owner. Does it matter? And I'm going to say it does matter. I'm going to give you a story. I'm going to share a story with you. When I, started out wanting to invest in real estate in 2008, really further than that, I want to say, but that's when I actually got some traction. And prior to 2008, in 2008, you know what was going on. Banks were failing, investors were losing properties or what have you. And I always tell my story that was the time when I thrived. I got my first deal. I still have a copy of that real estate check that I got at closing. But prior to that, because I said in 2008, I got some traction. But prior to that, and I'm not ashamed to say, because at that time, you didn't have webinars, you didn't really, you had books. And that's really where I got a lot of my education from. I actually had to read books. Of course, you had the local RIAs that were out there. But with that being said, it wasn't a lot of information on the internet. So you actually had to do some work. But prior to that, I did what a lot of people do. When they decide to go into a particular industry, it doesn't matter. I'm using real estate. They give themselves a title. And that title is, I am a real estate investor. But they've bought nothing. They haven't been involved in any real estate transactions. They don't know what they want to invest in real estate. They don't know nothing. And how do I know? Because I was that person. As I mentioned to you, I got some traction, did my first deal in 2008. But prior to that, I want to go maybe as far back 4 years prior, because I was doing it on my own. I didn't have a mentor, didn't have a coach, didn't hire nobody. So it took me a little longer. And I gave myself that title. Now, remind you, I had did no deals. And like a lot of newbies, even today, haven't did any deals. I was looking at everything, lease options, subject twos, buying holes or what have you. And so I decided to, figure out an area of where I wanted to lend my focus. And even after I did that, I niched even down further, and I decided to niche down to bank owned properties. So, with that being said, how does that relate to this topic? Many people, even today, give themselves the title of real estate investor, but they have not done any deals. And so, where does funding come in? We're now in a space and time where the fact that these individuals have not did any deals, they feel like that they are entitled to get access to large sums of money. And I understand that there are people who are promoting it. It's very salacious. It has individuals who have no experience, don't even know what they want to invest in real estate, but they seem to believe that, oh, there is a pot full of money of business funding or business credit that I can just grab into. And then once I get access to it, then I can figure out if I want to invest in real estate. And that, my friend, is the difference between a real estate investor versus a real estate business owner. What do you mean, Lorelia? The difference is a real estate business owner spends more time analyzing deals, looking at deals. They may even have a team in place where there's a pipeline of deals coming in and they are assessing if they're moving forward on the deal. They're not spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to get large sums of business funding and business credit in order to do the deal. Because this is what they know, that if the deal makes sense, if the deal is can make them money, because they know that before they buy the deal, they know that before they go to the lender, then they know they can get the funding. And that is what I tell so many new real estate investors. I get it. I tell people all the time, when it comes to getting funding for your real estate investment, what you need to understand, the way you bought a home, and I always make this analogy because the people get it mixed up. And I understand that there are people in the marketplace that is what they specialize in. They specialize in working with first time home buyers or FHA or anything that is related to the actual person. And they really don't have any experience with investor loans or with commercial. But I'm going to share with you the difference. When you buy a home, your primary home, whether you have did this before or you're looking to do it, they're going to look at you. They're going to look at your financial capabilities. Do you have a job? Do you have some source of income? What is your credit? What's your debt to income ratio? They're going to assess you to determine if you can afford the home or how much you can afford to buy. And so before you have a real estate agent taking you all around your local city or your local town, the real estate agent is going to say, I need to see a pre-qualification letter. Even one better, they may even say they want to see a pre-approval letter, because that's going to tell them how much house you can afford. That's what that's going to tell them. They're not going to show you homes that cost 750K if you only can afford 300K. So that is why they do that. That is why they get a pre-approval letter. Would the newbie real estate investor, the one who's just gave themselves a title, have never did no deals, don't know how to find deals, don't know how to analyze deals, don't know what the deal is, they think they are supposed to look for the money. And that is the biggest mistake, because when you decide to buy a real estate deal, property, or what have you, as an investor, meaning you're not looking for no FHA, you're not looking for a USDA loan or a FHA 203K. You're actually looking to get some type of investor type loan, whether it's a non-QM type loan, whether it's commercial, whether it's based on the DSCR, it's based on the asset. The asset comes first. So what that means, you need to know what the deal looks like. You need to be able to um I see something popped up. You need to be able to identify a deal, find a deal, know if the deal even makes sense before you look for funding. That is the difference. That's the difference. With a primary person who's buying a home, it's based on you. Can I afford it? When you are a real estate business owner, the real estate business owner knows the deal comes first. So their approach to be able to get funding is going to be actually easier for them to do because they know what's available. I see so many new real estate investors who go around the internet and they're trying to look for funding. You don't have to look for no funding. Like there are lenders who want to lend. Now I get it. There's a lot of fear in the marketplace because about the tradition. A lot of traditional banks like Signature and Silicon Valley. Many of them have failed, and I went over that in 2 episodes when I talked about J.P. Morgan. I talked about many of your local banks, they may not even be in the industry to lend on what you are looking to invest in. And I've learned that even whether you're a newbie investor or a seasoned investor, many of them don't even know that. Just because you see a local bank and you may have banked with them for 30 years, it don't mean that that's the business they're into to lend. So now what happens is that you don't know that they're not in that type of business. And now you start to think, oh, banks aren't lending. And I say that this is the best time for individuals who are looking to invest in real estate to really become a student of this industry. And I get it. The media, the internet, there's a lot of doom and gloom when it comes to what's going on in the traditional banking sector. But that's why, if you really want to be able to ride the wave, because I talked about this in other videos, there are going to be people who supposedly are business funding experts, business credit experts, real estate. They wear both hats. They're going to get you to Platinum American Express, and then they're going to help you find the deal. Many of them are going to scale back, and they're going to tell you funding has dried up. And from what I'm seeing, it hasn't dried up. What a lot of people don't know, that there's other forms of funding that's outside the norm. And for some people, I tell people they may not be ready for that. I've told people that I've had consultations with, you may not even be ready to be a real estate investor. FHA may be the way to go. Put the whatever, the 3.5% down or what have you, and start small. Get your feet wet. Because when you decide to go on the side of being a real estate business owner, you want to invest in, you want to get investor loans, there is more to put down. A lot of times, many lenders want to, they want to feel comfortable. So they're looking for you to put 20%, 30%. They want to see you put more skin in the game. But if you're that person, many newbie investors have been sold. How can I create this massive real estate portfolio? And I'm going to put a little skin in the game. And that's why I said it doesn't exist. That's why I tell people, most newbie real estate investors don't understand that a lot of times you really don't need to get funding. So I always tell people, a lot of people try to, understand or think this is what I did in the past. I've never did that. Many of the clients that I worked with were seasoned investors. So they already had a plan for the money. Many of the investors I've worked with, they were already investing in real estate. They were looking for alternative sources to be able to expand their portfolio. So, with me showing them the other sources of funding that was out there, they were able to expand in other areas. Clients of mine were doing fix and flips, wanted to buy mobile homes or invest in tax liens, or be able to do more fix and flips, have money on the side, that just in case they're doing that fix and flips, they have more money to be able to tap into. Very few of them were new real estate investors. Because this is what I have told my clients. When you decide to leverage funding, understand that there is a great responsibility that goes with that. That has always been my stance because I believe in financial stewardship over just excess. You want to be very cautious of leveraging high amounts of cash, credit, and have really no plan on how you are going to pay it back. And when you are a new investor, there are so many things that can possibly go on. That's why, with a lot of my clients that I've worked with, we always, the last piece before we even get to the funding is what is the cost? What is it going to cost you to be able to pay this back? And so I just want you to sit on that for a second, because right now we're in a time and place where it's very salacious. We got people who are calling themselves real estate investors, and they don't even know what a deal looks like. They can't identify the deal, but they want somebody to get them $200,000 worth of credit. And there's no banks that are just writing blank checks. There's no net, but I've told people all the time, yes, it is possible that you probably can falsify your way to be able to get some money. And we saw that during 2020 and 2021. A lot of people were falsifying documents to be able to get access to money. But when you are doing it the right way, there's no bank, there's no lender who's going to write you a blank check and you don't know how the money is going to be used. You can't even have a conversation with a lender to even discuss why the deal makes sense. See, the real estate business owner, he or she knows that. Like, they already know, they've already ran their numbers, they've calculated their numbers. They know that if they buy the property for this, they know if they spend X amount of dollars maybe for updating the place, they know how much they're getting rents for. They know what rents go for in the area. If they need to be able to raise the rents, they already know that the asset makes money. So the conversation to the lender is going to be totally different than someone who's saying, I just need some money. And that's why I said you can always spot a person who is new to real estate or new to being able to working with lenders, because they're saying, I'm looking to build business credit. You do not build business credit, you get access to. You get access to. And I know with a lot of my clients, we talk a lot about the business funding capital stack, how to be able to move up the ladder. And by doing that, a lot of that has to do with your business infrastructure. It it's not something that just happens. It's not the, oh, let me look at this particular credit report and put this, put this SIT code on an application, and I'm just going to, just fall into a $75,000 line of credit. It doesn't work like that. Ladies and gentlemen, it does not work like that. So that is all I have for you today. I wanted to discuss that because I think it is very important, because what I'm seeing out here on the internet, and really when I talk to a lot of people, they really just don't know that there is a difference. Just because you have given yourself the title of a real estate investor does not mean you are entitled to get money. It doesn't work like that. I know someone is selling you on that, but I'm here to tell you that if you believe that, there is no longevity in that. And if you have desires to move over to being a real estate business owner, I've said this in 2020, now is the time to be a student. Be a student of how real estate works, the area of real estate that you want to be able to invest in. If you need funding, how does the funding work? What is it that lenders are looking for? It's not just a guess. It's not just let me just see what happens. It's not, no, let me see if I can rob the bank. None of those things is how you're going to get any type of longevity in this industry. It's just not going to work, especially if you want to be able to leverage alternative forms of funding. Because I'm going to leave you with this: whether you do anything, you decide to, I'm going to ride it out, I'm going to wait till the economy gets better, or what have you, understand that there are going to be people who are always going to use real estate as a wealth building tool. And so, educating yourself on the matter will, it may be slow in process, but it will compound over time. And one day you'll look up and you'll look back at yourself and you'll see how far you have came. Don't despise small beginnings. I want to just leave you with that. Don't despise small beginnings. So, once again, this is all that I have for you for the Never Lose a Deal podcast. And so glad to be able to present this to you today. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to www.neverloseadeal.com. And if you're on YouTube or watching it on any other social media site, all my links will be below this video, on the side, underneath, on top. I'm not sure. They'll be right there for you. So once again, this is Lorelia. Leave me your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next video.